My name is John. I think I want to start by talking about an experience I had a couple weeks ago because it synthesizes a lot of who I am and where I'm at now. 2 weeks ago, I went to music in the spoken word and sacrament meeting for the first time in 2 years, which I had some trepidation about. I used to sing in the Tabernacle Choir for 3 years, which was a lovely experience in lots of ways, and I've missed it. And there used to be a lot of emotional pain and angst attached to showing up at Tabernacle Choir broadcasts or concerts, because that represents so much for me of my heart and my passion and loving to sing and express my deepest feelings and convictions through song. But there were a group of gay Mormons who were in town from BYU Idaho and BYU Provo and Salt Lake, and I decided that I was going to go hang out with them, which is interesting. I'm not necessarily in the BYU Idaho, BYU Provo place in my life ideologically or spiritually, but I wanted to meet these people and have this experience. I'd hung out with them the night before, and I decided I was going to wake up Sunday morning and go. And it was really beautiful, actually, for me to be there, because I could sit and listen to the music and see all these faces of people that I know and that I've sung with, and feel the spirit without any guilt or condemnation or shame attached to that, which was really different for me, or this pining or longing, thinking, oh, I should have followed this path in my life. I should have stayed with this. If only I had been there. I thought, no, this is beautiful. I still sing. I sing with Utah Chamber Artists and Deseret Chamber Singers. I just got back from a beautiful choir tour to Europe, and I could sit there and appreciate this music and not feel like I was on the outside. That's something that will always be in my heart and be true of me, that music is part of me, and that I can appreciate all that this is and all that this was for me. And I had a similar experience then in sacrament meeting. I think because I'd had that experience at Music in the Spoken Word, I decided to follow them over to the Joseph Smith Memorial Building and go to sacrament meeting there. Like I said, for the first time in 2 years. Last time I went was because my boss was getting her baby blessed, and I decided to go. This was more of just my own volition of wanting actually to be there. And I was sitting next to a dear friend of mine who was recently excommunicated, and there was so much pain for him sitting there as the sacrament prayers were read, and as the sacrament was passed, and as the hymns were sung. And I felt deep empathy and sadness for him, but I also felt really liberated for me, because I realized that so much of my life, all of my life maybe, when the sacrament was passed, when the bread and water was passed, when I listened to the words of those prayers, it was supposed to be a time to connect to the love of the Savior. But for much of my life, it was a time to think about all the times that I had thought inappropriately about guys during the week, or if I'd masturbated that week, or what I had done wrong, the ways that I hadn't measured up, or I wasn't enough. And so many of those times that I felt like I had to skip the sacrament, that I had to pass it along in tears and great shame and despair and agony. And I wanted to turn to my friend who passed the sacrament, who's had to skip the sacrament because he felt unworthy, and say, hey, this is important to you. You should do what you want. If you want to take this, if you want to participate in this ritual because it's a connection between you and God, there's no question in my mind that you are loved. That's what I wanted to say to him. I wanted to turn to him and say, hey, you are loved. And it was interesting because as I felt this, like I think I was beaming with a certain kind of happiness and relief, and the bishopric was smiling down at me because I had tears in my eyes and I was so happy, and I thought, oh, they don't know what I'm thinking, but I don't know what they would think about that, but it also felt like I can be here and I can appreciate the beauty of this space in the Joseph Smith Memorial Building, this beautiful chapel, and I can listen to the testimonies that are being born, because it was a fast and testimony meeting, and I can appreciate what people are saying. I can appreciate their convictions and what's in their heart, and it doesn't have to be loaded for me or shaming, or I don't have to feel like, oh, why have I lost this? This is not part of me anymore. I don't belong here. I felt like, of course I belong here. I belong here as much as I belong in all these beautiful cathedrals that I was lucky enough to just sing in Europe, and it can be just as sacred and beautiful, and I can feel just the same kind of reverence when I'm there. But it's more personal because it's a part of me, a part of my heritage, a part of my past and my story. I guess I share that because I never imagined that that's a place that I would ever get to. Because for so long, I thought for sure I would have to choose, that I would have to leave my Mormon identity, which had been everything to me, behind. And I was afraid of what it meant to choose to be openly gay, because I knew that could come with a lot of, it came with a lot of the stereotypes that I had internalized about what being gay and the gay lifestyle meant. And that felt like it could mean a lot of loneliness or a lot of rejection or a lot of scary things that I didn't want to approach. And that in Mormonism, I had a certain kind of safety in a home. I was good at being Mormon. And it was beautiful for me to sit there with a bunch of gay Mormons and think, hey, these are my people. And that both of those parts are important of me. And I'm sure like I've encountered some of those stereotypes in the gay world, but I think the gay world, whatever that means, or the gay lifestyle, is so big and expansive and is also new and growing, and we get to forge a new path as things change for us in the legal landscape and for me personally and with my friends, and that's exciting for me. And I thought as I was sitting there that I want to be the same way for myself about Mormonism, that I don't want to put Mormonism into this small idea of what the stereotypes of Mormonism are, that I have to be able to leave that behind, because it's dear to me and it's sacred to me, and it includes people that I love. It includes my mom, and who marched with me in the Pride Parade and with Mormons Building Bridges a couple years ago. It includes many of my dearest friends, and is too precious to just say I don't believe that anymore and leave that behind. I know that there's emotion for me as I say all of that, but it actually feels like a lot of peace, because I really never thought there could be any way for the two to coexist, which meant that parts of me would have to die. And I have gone through a lot of grieving, but I also think that there's healing and there can be wholeness for me. I'm still figuring it out, but I feel grateful that I get to have both. Because both are me.